Okay, in the last video in this series, I'm going to demonstrate how to use a static, otherwise known as an absolute reference, to do calculations in a table. Okay, so you can view the previous videos on this problem if you want to see how we got all these numbers. But what we're looking at right now is the power use. If we have 5 different situations, we have a 100-watt lamp run for 10 hours a day, 50 watts for 5 hours a day, and so on. If we want to figure out what the energy use is um, per day, per month, and per year, we figure out how to insert equations into the table. Now I'm going to show you a quick way to integrate the cost into these calculations if the cost is held constant at 15 cents a kilowatt hour. So we know that our equation is we need to multiply our kilowatt hour usage by the cost per kilowatt hour. Okay, so really we have our, for example, this column, kilowatt hours per day. If we want to figure out the cost, we multiply, in this case, the kilowatt hours per day times the cost per kilowatt. So that's really easy, but the problem is if you want to drag and copy these formulas down, the problem is, remember, Excel recognizes this as a relative reference. So in this cell is this, so this cell is H7 here times P4 here, okay? Now the problem is this cell is the cell to the left times one cell down, because if you drag this down, it's going to automatically assume that you're going to multiply by the cell immediately below the one you just used, and then the other cell that's immediate below. So that'll move on down the line. So this third one is going to be this one times this one, and so on. Now it's this one times this one. So how do we avoid that? What we need to do is we need to multiply each of these individual cells by just this same number. So the best way to do that is if we make an absolute reference. So we can type in equals. There's a couple of ways to do this, but I'll show you the sort of fast way. This times, now you click this cell, but what you do is you hit F4. And you notice what changed up here. And put dollar signs before the P and the 4. So if you hit enter, you notice you get the same total, it's 15 cents. Now if I drag it down, let's check our formulas. So now notice it's still P4 here, but it changed this cell. Okay, so it's this times this. That's the next one. It's H9 times P4. So for wherever I drag that formula, it's going to hold P4 as a constant. So that's the way you can use a single input or a single assumption in multiple equations by dragging down your your formula. So you can also, so I already have this formula here. It's kilowatt hours times the cost. So I can actually click on that, and instead of clicking on again, I can actually go up to my formula bar, click on P4, and just hit F4, and you see how that changes. Now hit enter, and I can do the same thing. I can drag down. Oops, sorry, drag it down. I'll do the same thing here. Click on the P4, hit the F4 key, hit enter, and the same thing. Now what's particularly nice about this is now I have this single cost integrated into all of my calculations. If, let's say, I got my cost wrong or the cost of my electricity changed, I can just type in a new cost. Let's say it's 13 or 12 cents a kilowatt hour. If I hit enter, watch all the cost numbers. You can see all of them actually change. So let's show that again. I'm going to undo that. See how they change? So they all changed. So everywhere that P4, every equation that it's in, will change automatically. So that's another one of the really powerful things about Excel is that you can list assumptions, and this assumption could be on another sheet if you wanted it to be. But as long as you have everything that refers to any cell, if you change that cell, it's going to change all of your calculations. And the last thing I'm going to show you, I showed you just in an earlier video, but if I want to put borders around it to make it look a little better, I can highlight all the cells I want borders to be around, click my borders tab, I'm going to do all borders, and let's fill in the columns so I can highlight these cells. And remember the fill, just do this, or if you want to be real fancy, you can do yellow, you can find a good color, any color you want to. Okay, so there's how you use static references and add borders and sort of finish a table off in Excel.